Hello, everybody. It's me and my buddy Mcruff. Today is October 10th, 2011, on a wet Monday. And also, this day is known nationally as Columbus Day. But that's not why I'm really recording this, because that's a whole different topic about Columbus Day, etc., etc. But what I want to record this, and it'll be a short version on MSNBC, Hardball with Chris Matthews, Religion and Politics. Now, I've always pondered this a while ago, and it's about the question, did God turn himself into Jesus Christ to come down here and save us from our sins? Or God has a son, he came down and died for our sins. That's just two simple things. Now, someone who's a pastor and theologist is going to maybe try to answer that question. Well, maybe. Let's see. Let's check this out. Also, they're talking about Mormon, even though it is about politics and about a certain candidate. And let's see exactly a question that I always asked and wondered about.
So long. What is wrong with Mormonism? Well, Mormonism, first of all, has another revelation. The revelation of the Book of Mormon came 1,800 years after Christianity. It uses a lot of the same language, Chris, as Christianity does. It talks about Jesus Christ. It talks about faith. But it's the Jesus Christ who came to North America, in the 1800s, not the Jesus Christ of the Bible. It doesn't have the traditional belief about heaven and hell. It teaches a works-oriented type of salvation. And so for those of us who are evangelicals, there is a difference. And as I cited in that poll, 75% of Protestant pastors believe that there is a vast difference between Mormonism and biblical Christianity.
Last point on religion, it's not my strength, but let me ask you this. Do you believe as a Christian, and you're a Christian, do you believe that Mormon people believe that Jesus Christ was God?
Well, what I've learned, Chris,
you said,
when
well,
talking
is
to
that
people
the
about
answer?
religion.
Well, do you believe that they
No.
they are Christians, in other words, to that central point?
Well, I don't believe all Baptists are Christians. I'm a Baptist. I don't believe all Baptists are Christians, all Catholics are Christians, or all Mormons are Christians. Nobody goes to heaven in a group, Chris. We go individually to heaven or hell.
I meant as a matter of theology.
Based on what we believe in Jesus
Okay,
Christ.
you're
and
very good at this, but this is called
Mormon
spin.
believes.
I just want to ask you, sticking to the issue of faith and belief. Okay, let me ask you about
Not
this
all
whole
Mormons believe what Mormons believe.
You know
That's
you've
what I'm saying.
stirred up a
Members of
bee's
any
nest.
faith.
Does it bother you that you've stirred up a bee's nest on this? That people hear the word cult, they hear Charles Manson, they hear Jonestown.
Right.
They hear cult in the sense that
Well,
I've described it in the Dictionary of the United States, of Webster's Dictionary, as some group living in a colony with a charismatic leader that indoctrinates members with unorthodox or extremist views. You say that's not the definition you use. But to Americans who hear you, when they hear cult, I'm going to give you now a chance. Say you didn't mean that kind of cult. Say I didn't mean that kind of cult.
Okay, I will say that, Chris. I will raise my right hand and say I did not mean that kind of cult. I was talking about a theological cult. But let me add, if I could, that I think many of the people who are bothered what I said about a cult are just as bothered when I sit here and say that Mormonism is not Christianity. And so, a lot of the reporters, they rushed me after my introduction because they picked up on the fact that I was distinguishing a good moral person like Mitt Romney with a born-again follower of Jesus Christ. They knew what I was saying. They knew I was saying that Mormonism is not Christianity, and I think that's what the real issue is.
Would
not
you,
the cult issue.
in general parlance, would you always support what you consider a born-again Christian for the presidency against any other opponent? In other words, that's your position.
I wouldn't say that.
Well, you said that's why you're for Romney. That's why you're for Perry, you said. That's what you said.
No, Chris. I gave a number of reasons that I'm for Perry. It's not just because of his faith. I believe that he's a consistent conservative. I believe he's skilled in leadership, perhaps not rhetoric, but in leadership. And I think there are a number of reasons beyond his Christian faith. And again, I think you've got a Christian in Barack Obama, a professing Christian, and a non-Christian in Mitt Romney. And I've said publicly I would vote for Mitt Romney if it comes down to that. But remember, Chris,
why is that?
A primary season, and those of us who are evangelical Christians, we have a chance to select a Christian for our leader. And I want to remind people, Chris, it was John Jay, the first Chief Justice of the United States Supreme Court, who said we have as our duty and privilege to select and prefer Christians as our leaders. Having preference for Christians over non-Christians is not being bigoted. It's a preference that we're allowed.
So let me read to you the United States Constitution, what it says about religion and political office. Article 6, United States Constitution, which many people believe to be divinely inspired, by the way. The senators, Mormons do, the senators and representatives before mentioned and the members of the several state legislatures and all executive and judicial officers, both of the United States and of the several states, shall be bound by oath or affirmation to support this Constitution. But no religious test shall ever be required as a qualification for any office or public trust under the United States. Sir, how else can you? I know you're a fundamentalist, so let's go to the strict meaning of this term.
Yes.
No religious test shall ever be required as a qualification to any office or public trust. How can anyone of any religion read that anything as meaning anything else but what it says?
Chris,
No religious test.
certainly you understand. Chris, certainly you understand the difference between government imposing a religious test and private citizens having any kind of litmus test they want to. Are you suggesting that for me to prefer a Christian over a non-Christian is against the law or unconstitutional?
No,
That's
I'm
absurd.
just saying.
Article 6 is talking about the government cannot impose a religious test.
my question
You can
to you-
impose any kind of test you want to.
Of course, anybody can have any preference or prejudice. Of course we can. A lot
That's
of
right,
people
but you're
always vote
misleading
their own.
people in thinking it's unconstitutional.
No, I'm
Yes,
just
you are.
asking you if you
Yeah,
think there's
you
a
are.
higher value in what you're saying than the Constitution says. People can say, I'm Italian American,
Yes.
so always vote for the Italian American. I'm Black American, always vote for the Black American, African American candidate. Everybody can do that, but that's not a high value. People can always say, I'm always going to support somebody in my religion. You can't say that what you're proposing, which is simply to vote your religion, is somehow a higher value than any other prejudice, can you? It's just a
I can
prejudice.
say that the.
Yeah,
I can
but
say
it's just
no.
a
Do you think
prejudice.
John Jay, the author of the Federalist Papers and the first Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, was a bigot? Do you think that, Chris? when
No,
he said
I
we
just
ought to
say
prefer
that you
Christians as
saying
our
what you're
leaders?
saying is no different than some Rastafarian saying, I'm only going to vote for Rastafarians for president. It's just another